Outrun is an arcade game released by Sega in September 1986. It's known for its pioneering hardware and graphics and innovative features such as non-linear gameplay and a selectable soundtrack. Designed as a racing game where the goal was to avoid traffic and reach one of 5 destinations, Outrun was set up for players to enjoy the experience of driving. The game was designed by Yu Suzuki, who travelled to Europe to gain inspiration for the game's stages. Suzuki had a small team and only 10 months to develop the game, leaving him to do most of the work himself. The game was a critical and commercial success, becoming one of the best-selling video games of its time, and Sega's most successful arcade cabinet of the 1980s. It was ported to numerous video game consoles and home computers and spawned a number of sequels. Outrun has been cited as an influence upon later video games. Outrun is a 3D driving game in which the player controls a Ferrari Testarossa Spider from the third-person rear perspective. The camera is placed near the ground, simulating a Ferrari driver's position and limiting the player's view into the distance. The road curves, crests and dips, which increases the challenge by obscuring upcoming obstacles such as traffic that the player must avoid. The object of the game is to reach the finish line against the timer. The game world is divided into multiple stages that each end in a checkpoint, and reaching the end of the stage provides more time. Near the end of each stage, the track forks to give the player a choice of routes leading to 5 final destinations. The destinations represent different difficulty levels and each conclude with their own ending scene, among them the Ferrari breaking down or being presented a trophy. During the mid-1980s, Sega experienced success in the arcades with games developed by Yu Suzuki. Hang-On was a good seller, and Enduro Racer had been successful enough for Sega to consider a second production run. Both are motorcycle racing games, and Outrun was Suzuki's chance to develop a car racing game. His original concept was to base the game on the American film The Cannonball Run, of which he was a fan. He disliked racing games where cars exploded on impact and wanted gamers to enjoy the experience of driving and to feel superior. Suzuki initially conceived the game's setting across the United States, and he requested to scout various locations there. According to Suzuki's boss, Yuji Ishii, Sega president Hayao Nakayama believed the US was too unsafe and suggested Europe as a safer option. Additionally, Suzuki concluded that the US was too large and empty for the game's design. He scouted Europe for 2 weeks in a BMW 520 for ideas. This tour included Frankfurt, Monaco, Rome, the Swiss Alps, the French Riviera, Florence and Milan. While in Monaco, Suzuki was inspired to use the Ferrari Testarossa as the playable car for the game. So when he returned to Japan, he arranged for his team to find and photograph one. A small team of just 4 programmers, a sound creator and 5 graphic designers developed Outrun. Suzuki had to use only personnel who were available and not assigned to other projects at the time. As a result, Suzuki did most of the programming and planning himself, spending extra hours at the studio to complete development of the game within 10 months. Suzuki believed that the most difficult part of developing the game was to make it as fun as possible, which he achieved by emphasizing the design elements of wide roads, buildings, and a radio with soundtrack selection. 4 cabinet designs were released, all of which are available with a steering wheel, a stick shift, acceleration, and brake pedals. 2 of the cabinet designs are upright, one of which has force feedback in the steering wheel. The other 2 models are sit-down cabinets that resemble the in-car game and use a drive motor to move the main cabinet, turning and shaking according to the on-screen action. Both models feature stereo speakers mounted behind the driver's head. The arcade system board made specifically for the game is the Sega Outrun, based on the Sega System 16. Suzuki stated that he was often unable to make games based on existing hardware, and that Sega would have to create a new board. He said that his designs were always 3D from the beginning. All the calculations in the system were 3D, even from Hang-On. I calculated the position, scale and zoom rate in 3D and converted it backwards to 2D. So I was always thinking in 3D. The game achieves its 3D effects by using a sprite scaling technique called superscalar technology, as used 1 year earlier in Hang-On. Released in September 1986, Outrun's fast sprite scaling and 3D motion provide a smoother experience than other contemporary arcade games. Outrun's original score was composed by Hiroshi Kawaguchi, who had previously composed soundtracks for other games designed by Suzuki, including Hang On. The soundtrack is similar in style to Latin and Caribbean music. 3 selectable tracks are featured: Passing Breeze, Splash Wave, and Magical Sound Shower. An additional track, Last Wave, plays at the final score screen. Outrun's arcade release received positive reviews and became one of the most popular arcade games of the year. In 1988, it won the Golden Joystick Award for Game of the Year, beating Renegade and The Last Ninja. Outrun received the Arcade Game of the Year award, beating Renegade and Bubble Bobble. By 1994, 30,000 cabinets had been sold worldwide, making it Sega's best-selling arcade cabinet of the 1980s. Outrun was ported to numerous home consoles and computers. More than 250,000 copies of the 8-bit computer game ports published by US Gold were sold by Christmas 1987. Outrun became both the fastest selling and the best selling computer game in the UK that year. There are numerous follow-up titles to Outrun, including Outrun 3D, Turbo Outrun, Outrun Europa, Outrunners, and Outrun 2. Outrun is listed among the best games of all time by many gaming publications. Writing in 1001 video games you must play before you die, João Diniz Sanchez praises Outrun's unforgettable design and expertly tuned game balance, describing the game as the consummate exhibit in an oversubscribed genre, and one of the purest and most joyous experiences in video gaming. In 2015, Outrun appeared in 4th place on IGN's list of the top 10 most influential racing games ever, behind pole position, Gran Turismo, and Virtua Racing. According to Luke Riley, traces of Outrun DNA can be found in series like Test Drive, Need for Speed, Project Gotham Racing, and Burnout, as well as modern racers like the Forza Horizon games and Drive Club. Former Sega arcade director Akira Nagai has credited Outrun and similar games for Sega's arcade success in the 1980s. According to Nagai, Outrun in particular was really amazing for its time. Suzuki went on to make Afterburner and a number of other games, but Outrun is still talked about with a special kind of wonder. With the Tycoon games, Sega's arcade business, which had been Sega's lowest performer in sales, gradually started to rise. If you like these videos and want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.